Late last night, the president signed an executive order to issue guidance on states using federal money for private or faith-based schools. Several states are already using public money to fund private schools. Critics say it comes at an expense of public schools.
Our nation is currently facing unprecedented efforts to privatize our public K-12 education system through school vouchers. A voucher takes state money that would have funded public services and instead uses taxpayer dollars for private education. Let's break down 3 myths about school privatization. Myth: communities and families overwhelmingly distrust public schools and want school vouchers. Fact: these privatization efforts are being driven by billionaires despite broad support for public education. Since 1999, Gallup polling has found that families largely support their public schools, and when given the chance, voters have shown that they do not want school vouchers. Since 1967, all state ballot initiatives on private school vouchers have been voted down. This was true in Nebraska, Kentucky, and Colorado in 2024. The Bradley, DeVos, and Koch foundations are some of the biggest right-wing funders attacking school curriculum, villainizing our educators, and trying to erode trust in our local schools. These conservative billionaires are also pouring millions into state elections to oust opposing lawmakers and steamroll their agenda. Today, 28 states and DC have at least one private school voucher, and 12 of these states have made school vouchers available to any student, a core goal for right-wing groups. Myth: private school vouchers open educational opportunities for students. Fact: private school vouchers give public money to private schools that can discriminate against students and families, are not always high quality, and largely benefit wealthy families. Let's remember that private school vouchers became popularized following Brown v. Board when some southern states used them to pay for the private education of white students to avoid school integration. And today, private schools get to choose which students to admit. They can reject students and families based on a number of factors, such as their religion, sexual orientation, and socioeconomic status. And private schools are not required to provide the critical rights, protections, and services for students with disabilities. Private schools also rarely exist in rural communities and are often inaccessible for working-class families who cannot pay for the outstanding costs that are not covered by a voucher. Even worse, private schools do not have to have qualified teachers, be accredited, or meet basic health and safety standards. In contrast, public schools provide an education to all students, regardless of their race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender, family's income, and disability status. Myth: private school vouchers save taxpayer dollars compared to public schools. Fact: privatization policies are costing hundreds of millions of dollars in state taxes. Let's be clear, the majority of students who receive school vouchers never attended a public school in the first place, meaning states are largely subsidizing the cost of private education for those who can already afford it. And the cost of these programs are exploding. In just 1 year, the actual cost of Arizona's universal school voucher is 983% higher than initial projections, and Florida's universal voucher is already 380% higher than what lawmakers estimated. Over the past decade, state funding for the nation's public K-12 schools has barely increased by an average of just 1% a year, adjusted for inflation. During the same time, state spending on subsidies for private schools have gone up by over $7 billion, a 408% increase. Our public K-12 education system, which serves 91% of students, is essential to our democratic society. We must recommit to investing in public education that works for all students, not just the wealthy few.